signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game. 5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, Radford pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin.
Maybe lots of growling today with this voice. How are you? Good morning. I apologize in advance for my voice. Everything kind of hit pretty hard with this, whatever I've got going on. Coming back from calling the game last night, we'll do this as long as the voice holds out today. Andy Bitter and Dwight Vick scheduled to join us. I hope that's not too offensive. We'll do the best we can. I will say that we've had to postpone our scheduled meetup for the NRV Super Bowl tomorrow because of the fact that Radford had to move the entire Big South, and most of probably college basketball in the area are going to move their games from Saturday to Friday. So that's what we have done at Radford. So we're playing the doubleheader on Friday, the women at 4:30 and then the men at 7. So obviously we can't do the meetup. So my apologies to Morris and everybody else, but hey, Snowmageddon or Isa, I'm a little worried now more because now it looks like, and who knows what the final call will be, but looks like a lot of ice is going to maybe come into this. If it's sleet, we're okay. If it's freezing rain, then that's when you lose power. So hopefully we'll get more sleet than freezing rain. But who knows? It's going to be a big cornucopia of crap is what it's going to be. Good morning, Prometheus. How are you? Thank you. Appreciate it. What's up, Knicks fan? Hello, Bronco. Bronco fam indeed. We're going to need to unite as a fam behind Jarrett Stidham on Sunday. What's up, Morris? I won't be able to do this very well, but from the Southwest Virginia world of postponements and cancellations, this Ram Hemi is soon pointed south and headed back to Florida to beat the snow. If you don't mind, Morris, call the Super Bowl and just tell them what's going on. Yeah, hot tea with lemon. I think this is, I don't know. I thought this was just the normal bug, but I had a pretty high fever yesterday still on the way down to the game. You drug up so you can mask it. You get through the game, and then you start to crash. So I'm not going to go to Radford today. I'll work on the game from here. Matter of fact, I was talking to our deputy AD, and he said, yeah, you probably should stay home today. So I will do that. If you can get halfway through Georgia on 95, you should be good. Yeah. Yeah, Paul, shouldn't have been yelling at the game. Yeah, it was a terrific game with a bad ending for Radford as they led by 10 in the second half, and Winthrop, to their credit, battled back on their home floor. Cody Cluett hit a big three with 2 seconds, and they beat us by 1. So it was very disappointing. Thank you, Morris. Appreciate that. That would have been Radford's third conference road win. Would have been huge. So Winthrop wins 76-75. Yeah, now the Highlanders short turnaround time, but it beats the alternative. There was nothing else to do but to move the games to Friday. And it's nice to see the schools all work together and the conference all work together. So that was good. So, yeah, sorry about the meetup, everybody. I was looking forward to meeting some of you in person. So we'll and Morris had a good idea. We'll do it again when the weather is warmer and there's no threat of any of this crap. And that's what it is. It's just crap. Because now even snow people aren't happy because of all the ice. Yeah, Paul, Tech. But man, oh man. They led by 9 with a little over a minute. They have to hang on and win by 2. That team just seems to be – they just seem to be drawn to drama. But a big road conference win, a big quad win in the league. So it was good. Look, I'm going to apologize in advance for any grossness that comes out of all of this today. I may have to get up and do some hacking, do some loogie clearance. So I apologize for any of that. But hey, I'm here. I'm giving it a shot. So, but yeah, big win for Tech. They needed that last night. At the end of the day, here's the way I look at it. We critique all this stuff, right? We get all, well, they shouldn't have had this happen. They shouldn't have had that happen. The bottom line is they went to Syracuse. They got a big road win, right? And they made a lot of free throws. They shot 36 in the game, and Syracuse only shot 14. Much the same recipe they had when they beat Virginia. But, I'm sure Syracuse is not happy with that. That's a big discrepancy at home. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I've seen a home team have 22 less free throw attempts than the visiting team. But it shows you that Tech is adept at getting the ball in the paint and earning those whistles as well. But covering college hoops as long as I have, when I did it for Tech with Bonnie Hendrickson in the women's program, and now with Radford, you take a road win in conference and you don't make any apologies and you don't worry about the what. Coaches will. But Mike Jones said it so right. It's a great analogy, that gold brick in the wagon that you carry with you the rest of the year. And there's a lot of teams that will go to Syracuse this year and not come away with a win. So it's a good win. Good win for them. And that's the way I look at it. And, it keeps Tech now. Let's see, they're 4-3 in the league. So they're in a good spot. And I don't pay attention to these. Is there anything more worthless, by the way, don't you hate these first four in, first four out crap that we get from Lenardi and all these people? And we're in the middle of January. We're just getting conference play cranked up. They just want something to put in content. I saw one the other day that said Virginia Tech is one of the first four out. And I'm like, it's just ridiculous. And I don't know what the record's going to end up being, but Tech is clearly, in my mind, an NCAA team. And I think they're going to end up with a record that will support it. So what I'm saying is, don't let that bog you down. Oh, no, Tech's first four out. How do you know? We're in the middle of January. Just stop. But, yeah, it's a good win, man. It's a good win for them. It is. Conference road wins are the I wish I had some prednisone, Coach. Wish I had some. It is the breakfast of champions. Prednisone always works for me because I get poison ivy really badly, and I've had to have it prescribed to me many, many times. Please subscribe, like, and share our channel. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios. Appreciate Jason Green and the gang, 540-200-8294. Mark Hunley and McClellan Chiropractic, sponsor of our live chat. So, we'll be double-headering it tomorrow night with the Radford women and men. Thanks to Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, the presenting sponsor of this program. And, of course, made the big announcement that they've teamed up with IHRA. I'm going to try to get Jonathan on here next week to talk more about that. Little River Heating and Air, 295 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Thanks to Charles Lee. The attorney, Ryan Pry. We'll have the reveal tomorrow, as long as the voice holds out. 701 West Main Street. The items from the grocery, I'm getting some good answers. The items from the grocery store that you would get in case of the Snowmageddon that we're getting, or Ice-mageddon, Mixture-mageddon. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of the program. Professional Door Incorporated, Travis Williams, sponsor of our text line at 540-391-0788. And the Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com. That is Bob Chris text message that they will help you create to help you raise money for your organization as they help Floyd County softball. Thanks to the NRB Super Bowl. Sorry we can't make it tomorrow with the schedule changes. 382-5525. You can still go enjoy their glow-in-the-dark bowling from 11 to 1. And Lawson's Mobile Home Supply since 1997. James Lawson, 540-381-8011. And Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. Oh, very cool. So Morris and Prometheus hooking up yesterday. That's dangerous. If anybody has any spare prednisone, I'll shoot you my address. What's up, Stephen? Well, you're too kind. Some of Rick is better than no Rick. Good morning, Opal. How are you? How are you? I am playing through the pay. I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer. Got yelled at by a Tech fan in one of the messages yesterday. They thought Till and I were picking on Tech. We were just discussing what happened with JMU. I don't think we're picking on them. It is what it is. Driving down the road, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm getting yelled at. Sorry, guys. Again, this is going to be one of those days, man. One of those days. But we all go through it, right? We all have this stuff, and it's strange. I usually have a really good vibe on, how I'm feeling, what I've got going on. But this kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I thought I was coming out of it yesterday on yesterday's show. Good morning, Tina. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Ooh, we got 2 peepettes in here. I like that. Ask the First Lady Opal for the remedy. Opal, what should I do? Do you have any prednisone? But I thought this was just what other people had gotten for a couple of days. And as I was driving to Rock Hill yesterday, it was a nice day, right? And like today's going to be a nice day, and yet we're going to have all this horrible weather. Opal says, you sound like you feel bad. I do. You need to go to the doctor. No, I don't want to. I don't want to go to the doctor. I think you have the flu. I hope you feel better. Yeah, I do believe I've had the flu bug. But then, like yesterday, I could just tell, I was burning up. And got through the game, started to come back, and then I just started getting rid of a lot of phlegm, things like that. So this has hung on longer than I thought. So I don't know if I have a different version of it. Who knows? Will urgent care give me prednisone? Rick is a gamer. Man of steel. Well, he's a man of illness this morning. And I'm glad that Corey, our deputy AD, told me not to come in. I always hate. My biggest thing is I don't want to get anybody else sick. And we got people with kids and down the hallway, and I just don't. So I can work from here and prep for my game tomorrow. But a smart decision by the league. And I know we were on it early at Radford. We were on this thing early. We started talking about this on Tuesday. Just, hey, look, this is probably not going to happen. Go to Hannibal Carter's and get some bourbon and make you a hot toddy. I'm going to try to make it through the show. We have today's really good guest game with Andy and with I might tap out tomorrow. We'll see. With Andy and Dwight Vick. We don't want to miss Dwight Vick. Didn't you all be mad at me? I get more hateful messages. What does that mean? Give no prescription. So that means they would. Bourbon, yes. Good morning, Christopher Lester. How are you? By the way, it's really cool. This is why I love this community here. We have. Keon was on yesterday, and he was very, very upset about his haircut. And so Chris sent this address of somebody he knew, and Keon's going. He's going today. So thanks, Christopher. He really appreciated it, man. He really, really appreciated it. And we'll get an update on how the haircut went. But he said he was going to do it. Oh, okay, they don't. That's what I mean. They will prescribe. Okay. That'll be only $7,000. Thank you. We are fam. Thank you, Christopher. But it was funny, though. Keon was generally concerned about his haircut. You could just see it. He talked about, how many times did he mention it? 4 or 5 times? But he even said that. I sent him that message from Chris. I just copied and pasted it with the address. And he said, the BDST fam comes through. So that was cool. That was cool. So again, our apologies about the meetup, but we are now playing basketball tomorrow night. Many people asking me, I'm not a meteorologist, on the professional door text line. I did try to look it up. It looks like to me this thing's becoming more dangerous, this storm, because it looks like it's going to incorporate more ice than what people wanted, what any of us wanted. I haven't seen Myatt update it. He says there's going to be a lot of snow with it, but as long as we have sleet, we're okay. And what I mean by that is sleet is good in terms of the worries of power outages. Freezing rain is the worst thing for power outages. I learned this a long time ago on the farm, but because the freezing rain obviously is what builds on tree limbs and power lines and snaps them in two. So if we get snow and a lot of sleet, I know it sounds bad, but that's what you want. It doesn't accumulate as thickly. There's not as much thickness. I don't think thickly is a word with sleet as there is snow, but it's not nearly as detrimental. The only thing I really worry about with this whole thing is power. If you lose power and then everything gets bad, you're screwed. And I know I don't have a generator. Don't yell at me about that. But the big thing I'm worried about, I hope I start feeling better to be able to shovel out of this mess on Sunday. Everything's going to be shut down on Monday. I guarantee you schools will be out here locally until middle of the week next week. At least. Yeah, the cold is just not going to help at all. What do we got? That's what. Yeah, temperatures barely in the 30s. Overnight, just bone-chilling cold. Even on Tuesday, when the sun comes back, it's only going to be 28. I mean, anybody who, I'm sorry, if you like this time of year, anybody who subscribes to winter, I don't understand. Jarrett Stidham on Sunday. Oh, what's the point spread now? I was going to look up the Broncos game. Patriots still 5.5-point favorites on the road. That's huge, man. It's like 8.5-point favorites. Nobody likes Stiddy. Moore says, can't believe with all the people you know, Rick, you would let this happen. I know. I blame myself. I blame myself. But yeah, disappointing game for the Highlanders last night. Played well. Del Jones is best player in the league right now. 25 more points last night. The problem is Radford didn't get enough support. They didn't get the support from other guys last night. And it's tough. If we'd had just one more of the big three step up or somebody else, it would have been different. Yes, the negatives by far outweigh any of the positives. I do subscribe to like a first, if you get a decent 3 or 4 inch snow, that it does kind of cleanse the air a little bit, germ-wise. But this is different. I mean, this is way too much, and now we're going to have ice and sleet. So, yeah, the only positive my wife could give is that it's pretty. Yeah, I saw those rankings that have Tech listed in the top 25. I just okay. I mean, I hope they're right, but You were 3-9. Yeah. Yeah, I think the way it's going right now, by the way, if I make it through today and we get through Andy and Dwight, I probably will punt tomorrow. I hate it because I have to punt next Friday too, because I'll be on the road for 4 days. But we may make that up with some special short videos that I can put up on the channel too while I'm traveling. But I think tomorrow it'd probably be best if I didn't do this, save everything for the game that I have to call tomorrow night. The early rankings are strictly for clickbait to make money for these sites. They get paid from advertisers for the amount of clicks, and everybody who's a tech fan saw that. Anybody who sees their team ranked, oh my goodness, let's click on this. That's why they do it. They don't have any clue. Can't do it. Yeah. I am not going out today. And I've never gone to Starbucks and ordered anything for me. It's always for somebody else. Yeah, the same rankings that had Penn State, Clemson 1 and 2 last year. So don't. Sad part is I saw tech fans like reposting it saying, oh, we're so back. I'm like, just stop. Just stop. Oh, you're the same way, Wayne? Yeah. Yeah, I've never gone in, and I never will because I don't like coffee. I love the way it smells. I have tried it, so it's not like I just haven't tried it. I've tried it on 2 or 3 different occasions. I remember when I was doing the games for Virginia Tech women's basketball and that Sweet 16 team. And I became pretty close with our point guard, Lisa Witherspoon. Spoon and I still talk regularly. And don't know if y'all remember that team. Such a fun team. They dominated everything. That's when the men's team was coached by Ricky Stokes. Amy Wetzel. Man, what a backcourt. Anyway. So the Spoon, and she's always the Spoon. I always call her the Spoon or number 10. I never call her Lisa. Or Spooner. Lately, I've been calling her Spooner. We're going to get her on here, by the way. And she said, I guarantee you I'll get you this at, I think it was a Starbucks or a coffee place. And it was a coffee. I think it was a Starbucks at an airport. We were traveling back. And that's back when, basketball was in the A10. And I don't know where we were coming back from. Temple, Duquesne, somebody like that. And she brought me this chocolate because she knew I was a chocolate-aholic. Chocolate coffee. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this will work. I even smelled it, and I said, okay. And I know I took a drink, and I just, And she goes, you don't like that? I said, nah, it's something about the coffee taste. I can't. Yeah, so my coffee is my diet Pepsi, yeah. See, Wayne, you and I were separated somewhere along the line. But I can't make myself like coffee. It's funny when I talk to Spoon, she'll go, you drinking coffee yet? No. But I need to get her on here. We'll do that. We'll reminisce about those days. I need to get Coach Bonnie on here too. That was a lot of fun. And I know they've gone to a Final Four, right? With 2 of the best players in the history of the program. since then. But Bonnie was the one who set the standard for that program. I think we would all agree. And that team and what they meant to the community around Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, the New River Valley. You know, the only things like that can only happen once. Now I know, look, Liz Kitley and George Moore, they were stars, right? But man, I'll tell you what, that first team, 98, was very, very special. Very, very special. Yeah, I do. Chad Hyatt. Hey, Chad, I'm really sick, by the way. What kind of a trainer are you to let me get sick like this, Chad? You know what? I'm going to work on that. I don't know when it'll happen. I'm going to see if it'd be great to have Bonnie and Spoon on here at the same time. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to see if I can have them on. Now, how much fun would that be? Yeah, it was 28-3, and they just kept winning. They just kept winning. I'll never forget. I got accepted into the team. They had all right, so we were early in my tenure there, and they'd had a really bad experience with their previous radio guy. I don't know what happened, something, but anyway. And I remember we played down at Duke. Now, Duke was nationally ranked. They were in the top 5 in the country at the time. And we traveled to Duke. And I remember in the shoot around, Bonnie called me over in the circle after practice and made me do the hokey pokey, which, you know, the team was clapping. That meant I had been accepted into the team. Then that same night, sure enough, we beat Duke on their home floor. And, you know, if you've been to Duke, if you've been to Cameron Indoor, there's only one place to broadcast, whether you're radio or TV, and that is up in the crow's nest. They don't have anything on press row because Krzyzewski killed that. That's exactly right, Hokey Bob. That's when the ladies would outdraw the men easily. And I remember Gary Wheat. Gary, if you're still out there, hey, man, great SID. Red-haired guy, great dude. He was my roommate on the road. And I said, hey, look, we're up here, man. Tell Coach Bonnie she doesn't have to climb up here, you know. If she doesn't want to, we'll cover her on that. Well, I'm in the break after I come back and I do the stat wrap-up thinking, okay, well, I look up, and here comes Coach Bonnie. She with her high heels and her skirt. She's climbing up. And I thought, you know, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. And she came up. She goes, you think I was going to miss this postgame with you? She knew what a big win that was. She knew that was going to potentially propel that team. And it did. And I remember all the Duke fans. Now, it was a big crowd. Women's basketball was just starting to really explode collegiately onto the scene. This was, you know, well before the last 5 years. Caitlin Clark. I will give the explosion of women's basketball in this area strictly credit to Bonnie Hendricks. And it was a great moment. That was a great moment. But yeah, it'd be fun to have them on here. So I'll have to do that. Hokey Bob, how you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see everybody. A couple of text messages. One guy said I sounded like Lou Rawls. Barry White. Hey, baby. I would play the song, but, you know, I would get nailed for copyright infringement. Yeah, it wasn't a good exit, man. I was just heading out. Yep, losing Bonnie to Kansas. I was a big fan of Jim Weaver. I've talked about this a lot. A lot. I have a ton of respect for Jim Weaver. I think every Tech fan needs to realize how integral he was to the build of Tech's football program. But he did not handle the Bonnie Hendrickson women's basketball situation the right way. She asked for, things that weren't outrageous, what she had brought to the program and to the area. She just wanted more money for assistants. She wanted more of a recruiting budget, wanted some facility things, to see if they could get together with men's basketball, and she got turned down. And I was still talking to her a lot, and she was very disappointed, and Kansas gobbled her up. And never really happened for her at Kansas. And then she went out to Santa Barbara to finish up her coaching career, and she turned that program back around, got them back to the NCAA tournament. So this is the TLB. Yeah, that's right. They've won so much. Hi, I'm Mike Krzyzewski. We're going to eliminate press row because we've won so much. Some Panera bread would break up that congestion. Well, I don't know if it would clear the cough or just rip my throat in half more. You go to Panera to be accepted in a post-game meal, share grilled cheese and soup. Well, no, we didn't. We did. It was a fun team, though. And I think anybody who's a Tech fan remembers that team for all the positives. Lost in the Sweet 16 to Tennessee and Shamiqua Holesclaw. Remember her? That was a really good team. And one of the best coaches interviews I ever conducted was with Pat Summitt. Pat Summitt, God rest her soul, was everything that you thought and heard she was. So when you're in the Sweet 16, you have very tightly scheduled shoot-arounds. It's like 40 minutes, and it is. You've got NCAA officials out there. You don't come out for a certain time, and you're not out there a minute longer, right? They keep it all. So we went first, and I was finishing up, had done interviews, and here comes Coach Summitt, and here comes Tennessee, and all that orange. And I shook her hand and said, Coach, I'd like to be able to, can I talk to you for our pregame? We have a segment for pregame. I'd love to talk. Certainly, I don't know. You want to do it right now? I said, well, sure. And she sits down while her team is starting to go through their warm-ups. And this is Pat Summitt. I still think the most, and I know Gino Auriemma has all the records, and he is beyond the GOAT, I guess. But Pat was Coach Summitt. I can't call her Pat. Coach Summitt was she was women's college basketball. I don't know how else to say it. And she sits there with her legs crossed, her Tennessee orange pants on, talks to me for about 10 minutes while practice is going, before we do the interview, talking about Bonnie, talking about women's basketball, how great Tech was for women's basketball, how this wasn't a matchup they were looking forward to. And then we did the interview. And then she took a picture. She was great. She was everything that you thought she was. Pure class. And we were all there. The hotel was within walking distance. We didn't have to drive on the bus. And she goes, you don't have to. He goes, you want to stay for practice? I said, I said, well, I am the enemy, coach. She goes, she goes, Hayes in the barn, Rick. What she said, Hayes in the barn. What's anybody going to do? We just got to go out and play. Whoever plays better tomorrow is going to advance on to the Elite Eight. What she said. So I'm sitting there feeling awkward, but I felt like she invited me. And I stayed for the majority of their shoot around. Thanked her again. And it's one of those memories you walk out with. You're like, wow, she was everything that you thought she was. She was. And I really, really hate, how she passed, how quickly she went when she got sick. But she was everything that you would hope. And that was just a really good team. And Tech hung in there for a while, but Shamika Holtzclaw she was the truth in women's hoops back in the day. Thanks, Joseph. Yeah, man. Yeah, this one's been different. This one's been different. I think it's a little more than the bug. So what I will do, I'll monitor myself throughout the day today. And then if I decide to punt the show tomorrow, I'll put a post up on social media, on X and on our Facebook page. But I might do that. With the game tomorrow night, it might be better if I punt the show tomorrow. Yeah. Diet Mountain Dew for Coach Bonnie. You better believe it. Always. Always. Joe Mannon was her assistant. She had a great staff. Joe was an RU guy. So we kind of had an RU connection there too. Yeah. PLB says female athletes are extremely competitive. My daughter played high school soccer. I was shocked at the cheap shots. Yeah. I will say this, covering both, women's sports, most of the athletes, the coaches, they're very appreciative. They're very, like, for instance, who you compare at the time, I guess Krzyzewski, who was coaching at that time, Jim Calhoun on the men's side. I can't imagine either one of those individuals ever being as courteous and gracious as Pat Summitt. Now, I remember Coach Bonnie said, well, she was nice to you when we had our team dinner that night because she knows she thinks they're going to kill us tomorrow. And that's what made Bonnie so great. That's cool, Morris. That's cool. I don't know what's going on upstairs. There's a noise upstairs. Hang on here. Andy Bitter, by the way, at 7. Wayne says, I agree, TLB. I watched the women's basketball and I swear they're tougher with each other. It's changed a lot this year. It's changed a lot recently. I don't know what that was. Anyway, and Dwight Vick today at 8. More questions about the weather. I don't know. I mean, I always hope that it doesn't happen. But I think we're going to get some pretty horrible weather. Yeah, I think that's going to happen. I keep looking to see if Myatt has anything new, and he hasn't posted today. The fact that we had a winter storm watch 60 hours posted 60 hours prior, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign. So we had mixed reviews with our local hoops teams. Good win for Tech on the road. They hung on. Got to start making free throws. They had enough of them. I mean, with the free throw discrepancy, should have won that game by 15. And Radford loses at the end. Kid made a big shot. Cody Cluett. I thought he had double dribbled at first, but in the event, it was a step back three. He knocked it down. Walmart was already out of bread and milk. Here we go. Yeah, the bread and milk. I guess people make bread and milk cereal. I don't know. There's so many more things that I would buy at the grocery store. That's why we asked the BDST fan question of the week. Thanks, Rodney. Appreciate it. All right. Pulaski beat Case Spring last night in boys basketball. They hit a three on a bank three. Did they call bank? Was the bank open? Apparently it was. Yeah, I wasn't sure either way. And I saw it later, and it didn't really look as bad as it did live. But it looked like he had lost the ball and dribbled it again. And that's a double dribble, but it happened so fast. And what had happened, it happened in the same motion where he did the step back. So I think it was probably hard to call. I'm not saying they missed a call at all. I mean, the kid, that is a gutsy shot. Yeah, the National Bank was open for Pulaski County. So I don't want people to think I'm complaining about that. I just thought, naked eye, I thought he double dribbled. But when I saw it too, he's in step back mode at the same time, exact same time. So, in any event, that's where we are. Bread, milk, and eggs, people making pudding, Thunder says. Thunder Man, I might need you here with that truck. I always take pride in shoveling my driveway. I know it's silly, but kind of reminds me of my farm days. I don't know if I'm going to be feeling like I'm going to be able to do it. Like, as long as the power stays on, people are okay. Because there won't be anything moving on Monday. Monday will be the dig out day. And I mean, nothing will be moving on Monday. I'll be getting 10 gallons of fuel for the generator, TLB says. Yeah, 19 turnovers last night. Islanders could not protect the basketball. Yet there they were because of Dale Jones. In a position to win that game. He's playing so well right now. Yeah, and I believe, like Teal said, going into that game, they only won one time. So now they've won twice. It's not easy to go up in that dome and win. It is not easy to go to that dome and win. Opal says she loves hot tea with creamer. Yeah, I know if I drink warmer, I don't like warm drinks. I never have. Never liked hot tea. I know it would help. We already had the coffee discussion. But I've never subscribed to the warm drink scenario. Yeah. No, I don't mind sweating, but I've never enjoyed that. Is texture a good word? If power goes out, I'll be huddled around kerosene heater like back in the 80s. Honey and bourbon. If it doesn't cure you, you'll forget about it. I don't think Wayne Panera soup would fix me up. No. Might cause other things, but Opal Nova girl. Really, Opal? That's cool. That's cool. It was the other thing too, like I got like the chills pretty bad. And I mean, the house is warm. Like down here, I've got, everything's fine, but I feel I got that going too. Yeah, we got Andy Bitter here in a few minutes, and then Dwight Vick, which is the main reason I came on today, because of Andy and Dwight. I'd say right now, probably a 75% chance I'm punting tomorrow's show, unless things just break free, and I'll let people know. Thanks for all the well wishes I'm getting on the professional door text line. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Is this a new one? Looking for the U.S. People are asking, so I'm trying to give you information. Myatt said this. He just said, look, not just now, but what I mean is he said this yesterday. He says he feels good at probably 6 to 10, somewhere in that range. He believes it's going to be a lot more sleet, which would be good news. So I don't know. Some people are just saying ridiculous things about the amount, so forth. I love the fact we've got a great discussion here on drinks going on in chat. That's awesome. Jesus, Wade. The man's sick. Don't throw Panera attack in his face. Opal does not like flavored coffee. Yeah. The price is there too. I saw they closed a bunch of stores a couple months ago, didn't they? So Opal, what do? Is it just strictly like black coffee with maybe some cream or sugar? I'm always curious what people put in their coffee, because I think you put so much stuff in your coffee because you know it's not good. So what you're doing is you're trying to mask it as much as possible. It's kind of like, I don't know, sitting down and convincing yourself that eating a salad is going to be satisfying, when all you're doing is lying to yourself and to your digestive system, which is why you put all that dressing on it, which is why you put meat in it, which is why you put fruit, anything else, right? You're trying anything you can to actually make it acceptable that you're eating that. No, I don't think you do, Wayne. I don't think you have a video of me at Panera. The attorney, Ryan Pry. Says my favorite coffee uses half and half and a spoonful of pure maple syrup. Yeah, Opal, I thought you were in Giles County, Opal. I remember you saying that before. Well, I better send Andy his invite. Almost forgot to send the invite. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate just got your text message. I'm trying to get through today. I think I will shut it down tomorrow. That's the way it seems to be trending right now. All right, so I just sent Andy his text message. Love you too, brother. Appreciate that. Very nice. Very nice. Jeff says a friend of mine used to say about salads, if I wanted to eat rabbit food, I would just eat the rabbit. Remember Ron Swanson said that whenever he was approached with salad. Yep. But thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Appreciate everything. As we head into hour number 2, we welcome in our first guest. There he is. He's Andy Bitter from Tech Sideline. What's up, AB? How are you?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
We're hanging in, man. Battling this flu thing. But hey, we're here. We're here.
I've been there many times.
You were there.
I'll be there probably shortly, I'm sure. I usually get something in the winter.
I know, man. I know. Well, heck, you battled through. It was a couple weeks ago you were battling through.
That was around Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't fun.
Yeah. No, but you got through it. You got through it. Well, what do we got? We got bios from some of these tech guys now. More guys coming in yesterday. I thought the portal was closed. I see guys jumping in the portal all over the place. There are no rules. What's going on? It's anarchy.
Well, it was closed. The last day to put your name in was on Friday. And then they have 48 business hours to process it. So it had Saturday, Sunday, holiday, Monday. So then you have Tuesday, Wednesday that guys can still go in.
Okay.
Plus, it seems that even if you have a contract, you can break it and go into the portal. And so, no, there doesn't seem to be any rules. But, I kind of wonder why there even is a portal in the first place. Like if you get to spring and I go, I'm unenrolling from this school, and then I'm going to enroll at this other school. Can anybody stop you if we're all just regular students here? Like, isn't that the argument that they make for this whole thing? So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. I don't really know what's like the portal is something to facilitate this whole thing. I don't know what stops people from doing that if they want to unenroll and enroll somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. How is it different? Yeah. That's true. It's very true. I hadn't thought about it that way. Well, and it's just, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, but it just keeps getting worse and worse. This whole Duke situation with Mensa, and it just, I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm not even sure exactly what's going on there with the multiple year contract and the Miami sniping him out. I mean, it's just, we're going to see more and more. It doesn't feel like we're going to see more and more of those types of things here in the near future.
Yeah, I think you look at the history of labor battles in sports, and it's never clean. Baseball didn't just voluntarily give up the reserve clause until it got sued and went to court for free agency. The NFL had collusion suits against it, and different other things that open up free agency for that. So I think this is sort of the natural process that gets you to an end point somewhere. And I think part of the Mensa thing is like, oh, he signed a contract. It's like, what are these contracts? Anyway, they're pseudo contracts. Like they're trying to enforce employment terms on these guys without them being employees. And I think that's where they run into problems into this whole thing, and where, these lawyers will see a crack in the door and go, well, you're trying to enforce restrict movement here without them being your employees. How is that possible? So the Mensa thing is interesting because it's like, okay, so somebody signed a contract, verbally committed that they're going to be at this place, and then a better opportunity came along at Miami and he wants to go there. Okay, how is that different than what Manny Diaz did at Temple? He was Temple's coach for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
An opportunity at Miami came up. He left Temple high and dry.
Yeah.
And went to Miami. And how they do it? They bought out the contract. I look at this Duke thing and they keep saying that there's no buyout provision. It's irreparable harm. There's no way we can be compensated for this if he were to leave. It's like, I don't know if that's true. I think there's a dollar figure associated with everything. So maybe they need to find that dollar figure, get paid that sum by Miami, and everybody moves on with their life. I just, the way they're writing these contracts and enforcing, saying this guy can't possibly leave. There's nothing we can be paid that could be make up for this guy leaving. I just don't believe it. So there's a way that this thing could be resolved. I don't like it. It's not great, but this is sort of a half measure here that all these schools and the NCAA is trying to enforce. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're not employees, but we're treating them like employees and we're restricting where they can go. So that, like, there are no angels in this situation. Like Mensa leaving, that's a low thing to do right at the end of the transfer portal like this. But then also the system that he's fighting against, I don't think that's a great setup either.
No, it's not. And the situation at Washington, what happened with that kid? Remind me, he knew he was going to lose money, right? The way it was worded, his contract. So he just decided not to fight it and went back to school there. Was that what that was?
I think so. I never got clarity on that whole thing.
I know.
It's got to be awkward. That's the deal with the Mensa thing. It's like he's done with Duke. He can't go back into that locker room at this point. And if you're Duke, would you want him back in that locker room?
No, right.
No, I wouldn't turn the keys back over to this guy. Like, yeah, maybe he'd be better at football, but man, I feel like the chemistry on the team would just be ruined at this point. So I'm curious to see how Washington handles this whole thing, because that's got to be a really awkward situation. This guy walking back in there like nothing happened, like Costanza in this whole thing. Like, hey, no, I never quit. This is okay. Let's just walk in and let's ride, boys. Let's see how that goes. That doesn't work like that in football.
Yeah, you're right. It is like Costanza. I was kidding. It was just a joke. So Ted gets a commitment from a kid from I was on the road yesterday. I saw a defensive lineman from Colorado, right? Is that who it was?
Yeah, I'd have to look up his name. I can't remember his name here. What was it? Samuel Okunlola. I think I'm pronouncing that right, from Colorado. He was at Pitt previously. He got hurt last year. 8 sacks the previous 2 seasons. I think you look at losing Cameron Morgan to admissions, it sounds like. which is still a thing, I guess, in college football. Is trying to get into a school. They had a spot or some money available, and probably needed some immediate help at a spot like edge rusher or defensive end. And this looks like a decent option here. Somebody that's a little bit older than some of the other players they've been going after. I don't know necessarily if he was in their plans before this other news or if this was a reactionary thing to this, but we talked about it on our podcast this week. That's sort of a spot where you lose a guy like that and you go, it doesn't quite feel as complete as you wanted it to be at the edge rusher type thing. And he could be an answer potentially.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great point. I mean, they lost one and they gained one, and we'll see if he can come in and fill that void. So now that everything's been here, we think it's kind of finally settling down a little bit. What's your overall take? I mean, everybody, first of all, I'm going to ask you about this, these way too early polls, and some of them have Tech in the top 25, a 3-9 team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I've also done the poll before. I've been an AP voter before, and you get to 20 and you're reaching. Like the 20th ranked team and the 35th ranked team are basically the same.
Right.
So it's sort of eye of the beholder type thing. And I think some of these way too early polls, part of it is to be provocative, because it's not fun if you just pick the teams that are currently in the top 25. But putting somebody like James Franklin in his first year at Virginia Tech in there, it's like, oh, a 3-9 team in your top 25? Well, now that's interesting, and that sparks debate, and that's what these whole things do in the offseason.
Exactly.
So I think there's a little bit of that at work in this whole thing. I mean, it could be accurate. I mean, those teams 20 and above, it's not like they're national title contenders. I think we saw that with how the 20th ranked and above teams performed in the playoff this year. They're not necessarily that top tier type brand of team. But I mean, could you be 8-4, 9-3, and be in that range? Sure. Is that a realistic goal for Virginia Tech this year? I think it is, even that I don't necessarily think they'll get to that mark. But they improved the talent of this team quite a bit, and I'm eager to see what it's going to be like on the field, because you put these teams together with the transfer portal, and everybody's doing cartwheels because of how great the team looks on paper. It's like, well, let's see how they get on the field and how they mesh, and if things actually work the way you think they are under this team. So I'm really eager to see this team this spring, because honestly, I have no idea how good this team is going to be. So I kudos to the people that put out the way too early top 25s. Everybody reads them. We're talking about them right now.
They do.
But I've got no clue. And it feels like they kind of just put the usual suspects at the top of that thing.
Yeah, I saw the final poll. Alabama loses 4 games, and they moved up the final poll. People were taking some shots at that too.
I mean, we talk about way too early polls. You can do the early poll last year, and Texas was number 1, and Penn State was number 2, and Clemson was number 4. And that didn't happen. No. That's not how it played out in the season. So they're fun debate pieces, but ultimately they mean nothing.
I understand you might get a chance to talk to coaches next week. Is that correct? So what I'm hearing?
We'll see. I mean, they are talking about doing this during a week where we might get a foot of snow. So I don't know. Yeah. There's been some talk about maybe next Friday, but until it's scheduled and we're actually sitting there talking to them, I'm not going to completely get my hopes up.
100%. All right, well, let's get in. I want to get your take. I've been looking forward to getting your take on the national title game. I mean, Indiana finishes it off. Most amazing story I've ever been around. It's just incredible. Miami played a hell of a game. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Just some of your thoughts as you watch that thing unfold to finish up the college football season.
Yeah, I mean, it was a closer game than I thought it was going to be. Miami probably should have won. I don't think I'm being. Oh, I'm not like coming down on Indiana. I mean, Indiana played great and they won the game and they played better. But man, Miami missed a field goal, had a punt blocked for a touchdown. I mean, these are sort of these massive plays that turn the tide of a game. I think if you look. I think Bill Connolly had his post-game win expectancy for Indiana. It was like 14%. So just kind of play for play. I think Miami matched this team, but in the big moments, Indiana made the plays that counted, and they didn't have the special teams gaffes that Miami had. It's 4th and 6, whatever it was in that one play, and Cignetti calls the play call of his life. This quarterback draw, and Mendoza. You want to say having a Heisman moment after you've won the Heisman. That was it.
Oh, my goodness.
What a play, what a run, what a stretch to get it across. What a story. You look at his mom. His mom is like sitting down because she has MS.
Right.
His dad always sits next to her, never stands up to cheers, always with her. He's playing near his hometown against the team that didn't want him, both out of high school and the transfer portal. He's the nicest guy in sports, apparently, when you're talking to him. He makes that run, and they win the game, and then he drops the best, nicest, most polite F-bomb in the history of the world in the postgame, getting his team fired up. The story is incredible. I'm not sitting here like it's some Cinderella story.
No.
It's kind of like the actual Hoosiers story. Because if you know the actual Hoosiers story for that movie, that team was a juggernaut. They were from the sticks, but they were a juggernaut.
Absolutely.
They had the best player in the state, and they just rolled through everybody. It's like, well, guess what? Mendoza was the best player in college football this year, and that team just bulldozed through everybody. So, congratulations to Indiana. It's just an unbelievable the program turnaround from 2 years ago was incredible, but this was no Cinderella. This was the best team in college football from start to finish this year, and they won the title.
Yeah, that's a great point. The differentiation there. What he did with that program is the most amazing thing. Them finishing this is not, because they were the best team. And that run, you're exactly right. What a signature. What a way to finish your career. It was unbelievable. And they even got a reaction from Cignetti, which you don't see very often.
That's true. That's true. He did smile a couple times in that game.
So now they finish this off. I don't know what it's going to look like for them. Should be an easy choice for the Raiders on draft day. Just hand them the card. Don't do the 10 minutes. Just here. Let's just move on to the second pick.
No, this is the NFL draft. Nothing is that simple.
Yeah, right. It's true.
You're going to get to this offseason. They'll be like, is he too nice for the NFL? Yeah. Like stupid things like that will come up. And they'll pick apart his game. And go, I don't know. He seems like he doesn't have that competitive edge. He's too polite. There's all sorts of excuses people will make. And then you end up drafting somebody dumb.
But his combine throws didn't look. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this stupid stuff.
He ran a 4.7 or something like that. It's like that's actually pretty good for a quarterback.
Unfair question for you, but the ACC positioned itself pretty good for maybe a good 26, good postseason. I know a lot of teams didn't have players, but your early prognostication of what you think the league could look like next year. I mean, in Miami, are they back? We hear this all the time. They were this year in the postseason. Can Clemson come back? What kind of thing do you see for seeing? You think momentum can continue for the league a little bit?
Maybe. You go into these off seasons, and I have very little idea what these other rosters look like. Before you can kind of tell how a team recruits, how a team retains people,
right? Pretty much what they're going to look like.
And I was talking about last year at the ACC kickoff when we're trying to pick the order of finish. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know with a lot of these teams. I have no idea if they're going to be good. I thought teams last year, I felt confident about Clemson first, and I think I put Stanford last, or Wake Forest. I put Wake Forest last. Neither of those are even close to happening. No. Wake Forest was better than Clemson this year, it seemed like, certainly with the final record. And everybody in between, I'm like, they could be good, they could be bad. That included Virginia Tech. As it was, I put Virginia Tech ahead of Virginia, and the results were completely the opposite. So, when teams are bringing in 50 new players every offseason, especially at this stage of the offseason, I have zero idea.
I know
how good a team will be. Like how good will Miami be? It's like, well, will they be able to play Darian Mensah at quarterback? Because that makes a pretty big difference.
Yeah,
whether you have one of the top quarterbacks in the country running your team. I don't really know what they had behind Carson back. Obviously not as much as they hoped if they're going out there trying to poach a top tier quarterback here. So I don't know. I think it's people don't like to hear it when you say I don't know, but I
No.
really have zero idea who's going to be the best team in the ACC next year. We can try and say, oh, based on the portal and stuff. I haven't sat here and studied the portal classes close enough, but even if I did, I don't think I'd still have a great idea because some of these players are walking into new situations and all of a sudden they turn into superstars, and some weren't as good as you thought they were coming from it. So, we'll see.
Well, and to your point about Miami, I think their kid, didn't they have a guy who they were counting on to leave after the whole Mensa thing? I think he jumped in the portal. Like, get him back, obviously, but
yeah, probably. I mean, again,
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Movement doesn't stop just because the portal's closed. You can get people out of the portal, even if the portal people aren't going into the portal anymore at this point.
Well, I know, but I'm very encouraged by the postseason. I think the ACC did a nice job, and Miami showed you with all the criticism about the league that, you know what, if you're a good team, you're a good team. It doesn't matter what initials are before you in the conference, right? And Miami showed that it can happen. That's why Tech fans are so optimistic about James Franklin. Things can happen pretty quickly now in college football, can't they?
Yeah, I think it struck a blow for the ACC's viability.
Oh, yeah.
Because what were Clemson and Florida State complaining about the whole time? Oh, we can't compete because we can't keep up with the SEC schools. Like, well, Miami just did it. And not only that, they cashed in on this whole thing because Florida State and Clemson stomped their feet about this stuff. The ACC changed how it shares its revenue. So now success is a big deal in how you get TV payouts. Miami got like $20 million from this postseason run, another 12 when you add in travel expenses, and they played in their home city in the championship game. There were no travel expenses for that round, essentially. There's TV viewership numbers now. Miami is going to be number one in the football TV viewership numbers. So if there's a delta of about $30 million from the top team to the bottom team in the ACC and what the payout's going to be, look at how much of an advantage that is for a team like Miami. That, are you going to get that in the SEC? You might get more money guaranteed in the SEC, but everybody gets that money. In the ACC, all of a sudden you have a differentiator. You have an advantage in this whole thing. And maybe that gets you back to the playoff and then you make more money again like that. So I think, unwittingly, because they were dragged into this kicking and screaming, the ACC has set up something that makes it viable for these top brands to stay in the league and perhaps not seek out the Big Ten or the SEC. Now, if the offer comes and the money, the TV money just keeps going up, and there's just no way to keep up for the ACC, then yeah, I think you have to go. But for right now, I think they've created a situation where these schools can stay and say, hey, we can compete for national championships.
Well, let me ask you finally, is it probably going to be too soon to change? I know they've been meeting. I think it has to be by Friday about the postseason. You think things will stay at 12 this year and they'll start really pushing toward 16 next year? You see these reports that the Big Ten's trying to make it 24. They would prefer 20. I mean, just too much ridiculousness. But what do you think is going to happen?
I've given up trying to figure out what they're going to do other than just say they're going to screw it up. Because I don't know who could look at this postseason and go, we need to change it. Right? Like, that was fun. We had a great Final Four. I think 12 seems right. There's still controversy on the back end. There's always going to be controversy on the back end. You go to 16, 17, 18, they'll be complaining about stuff. At 24, I saw the 24 team mock-up, and like Pitt was the last team in.
Yeah.
And I go, you know what? I think we decided conclusively during the season that Pitt does not deserve a run at the national championship. I don't think we need further games to decide this whole thing. I think there's a limit. I could live with 16 if they don't do something zany, like give the top seeds buys and have a play-in, which I saw some bracket out there that did it that way. It's like, how can you screw up a 16-team playoff? It's the easiest thing to do.
It's the Sweet 16,
right? I just do a straight bracket at that point. So if they go to that, I won't be upset about it necessarily. And you look at this year, this gets Notre Dame, Texas, perhaps Vanderbilt into the field, BYU, I thought, which had a case to get into this thing.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be the end of the world if they did that, but I'd be more content if they just left it with 12 because I think this is a pretty good setup.
Yeah, 16, I'm with you. That makes sense. I could do that. Yeah, because FCS has done it, but don't try to look at 24. It's just stop. Just stop. Please stop. but
right.
But anyway, it's going to be like you said. I'd never have any. Isn't it sad that we can never have any confidence that people in power are going to make good decisions that are going to benefit anything in sports or anything else? Government, doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's always some bad actors out there that are making decisions that are purely selfish in this whole thing. There's nobody looking out for the overall
no
strength of the sport. They're always looking for what's best for their conference, and there's a lack of a central authority in this whole thing, and that's hurt college football in a lot of ways. That said, this was a fun season, and that was a fun tournament and a fun championship game, and more people are watching than ever. So maybe it's not as much of a crisis as we seem to keep making it out to be.
Yeah, it's what the NFL keeps relying on, despite all their horrible decisions. Hey, look at our ratings. What are you going to do? Right?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Yep. All right, brother. Well, listen, thanks for stopping by as always. What do you get? What are you working on? I know you're looking on hopefully getting to talk to the coaches. What you got going on at the sideline?
Yeah, waiting for the coaches. Might take a look at the depth chart. Just try to throw something out there that I mean, it's a pure guess at this point, but got to kind of figure out what the lineup might be next year for this team.
Oh, okay. That'll be fun. There you go. A lot for the peeps to look forward to. All right, man. We'll have a good weekend, and good luck surviving Snowmageddon.
All right. Feel better.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Thanks. There you go. Andy Bitter. Good stuff for maybe, as always. Yeah. We're almost down to the hour mark. I'll be right back. Creed is I tell you one thing, as much as I'm going to be unhappy with this weather, Balboa Creed is going to be 10 times more unhappy because he lives to be outside. Hang on. Come on, buddy. It's all right. I needed to kind of get up and walk anyway, so that's good. So I let him out and immediately seen crouched down in his hunting mode. He just took off running toward the hill. So I don't know if he's already seen something. TLB says I should call Coach Rags, Marty, and Coach Elmo. Go to bed and tell them to turn the lights on. Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, we're trying to schedule Marty and Rags now that football's done. Hopefully that'll be next week. But I'll keep everybody posted on that. Yeah, hang on. We're taking lots of beverages here. But more than likely, I won't be doing this tomorrow. Knicks fan, I cannot deny it. If Selma was feeding you bites of salad, you're definitely eating it. But at the same time, I think Selma, I mean, just wow, by the way, right? Just wow. I think Selma would also understand that, this guy, he wants his red meat. Right? So just going to say this. The good Lord took extra care when that human being was created. That's all. That is all. But you're not wrong, Knicks fan. Oh, I'm sorry. Did Selma? I thought I clicked Selma off. We could just look at Selma the rest of the day, and I think everybody would be okay. Selma Hayek Watson. I love it. She just had a birthday. I think she turned 58, 59. And you look at her and you're like, no, she's not. But yeah, she is. And what's good about her, she hasn't had like a lot of surgery. I don't know what she's had. Some of these actors, that's what they all try to do. They ruin their look by feeling pressure to do something. I don't think she's ever needed to. I bet she likes Reese's Cups. Probably so. Probably so. So what was the decision? I missed it there with AB on. Dwight Vick coming up, by the way, at 8. What was the beverage discussion result? Y'all let me know. I think Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, located at 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. James Lawson's been doing it since 1997. Thanks to the NRV Super Bowl. How did you get a picture of Selma with a snow shovel? That's great. I love our listeners and watchers. Look at that. Man, imagine being her neighbor and seeing that. Thanks to the NRV Super Bowl, Terry Steichen Company, 382-5525. Sorry we can't make it tomorrow now. We'll be playing basketball. Brian says her 59 has held up better than my 56. Hopeful says don't get put in that doghouse. You're too sick for that. Oh, there's already an acceptance of Selma is like a special case. I mean, if she comes knocking on the door in that Mexican accent and tells me to get in the car, bye, so long, world. And I think everybody would just go, yeah. Yep. Imagine being snowed in with Selma. Oh, I have. You'd be singing Let It Snow. I think other than not being able to do anything, since I moved out here in Rhino, I think one of the main reasons I hate it all is because the power goes out here quite a bit. And that's when you got a lot of problems, when you can't do anything about it. It looks like Selma likes the snow. Thanks to Bob Chris and the Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com. Read up on it and give Bob an email, bobchris.crst11@gmail. If you want to raise money for your organization. Professional Door Incorporated, residential, commercial garage doors. Family owned and operated, 38 years in business right across from New River Community College. We helped a small part in them completing their staff as they expand their business. Sponsor of our text line. National Bank member FDIC is the exclusive banking partner of this program. Thanks to Lara Ramsey. Great people. Great people. The BDST fan question of the week is brought to you by the attorney Ryan Price, 701 West Main Street in Radford. Trust and Estate Planning. We still have people sending results in about what they would get at the grocery store. I'm just saying this, 95% of them are alcohol related. If I can't do the list tomorrow, if I don't do the show, we'll have it on Monday. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Charles Lee's the best at what he does. Give them a call. Let them come and talk to you about your situation if you have a problem. Pulaski County Sports Entertainment's the presenting sponsor of this program. And, of course, the IHRA agreement that was announced officially yesterday is just massive. Massive. More coming, by the way. McClellan Chiropractic, thanks to Mark Hunley, right off of Peppers Ferry Road, and Jason Green and all the great folks at Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio. Here in Reiner, 540-200-8294. 8294. All right, let's get caught up. For me, the drink is Diet Mountain Dew. I like Diet Mountain Dew. I like that too. Tebow says, I'd like to see Tech Hoops a nice, comfortable win. Yeah, they should have with all the free throws. They missed too many of them, and Syracuse was making lots of threes, apparently. I was driving home from our loss last night, the buzzer beater, and I caught the end of it with Zach and Mike on the radio. Okay, well, it's good to know. On a good note, APCO did a lot of tree removal last year. I hope so. I hope so. David Mabry says the only negative of Selma is that she's in the blasphemous remake of the Wild Wild West. This is true, but she was the only highlight of that movie. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. There it is. You can't see it. He wanted out. I told you he took off. Creed, I wish I could turn the thing around here without him. He's got a critter out here right now as we speak. Balboa Creed. I've got the window door open. Well, not, I got the shade open. He's out here in the car park, and he is finishing off. It looks like a mouse. That quickly. I'm telling you, that dude has set a new standard. Prometheus, I respect that. I wish I could. I never drink soda, but the ones every 3 or 4 years I have are Diet Coke. Diet Pepsi's we all have a vice, right? We all have a vice. It could be alcohol. It could be smoking. It could be food. Mine is my Diet Pepsi. It could be Selma. Whatever it is. Yeah, kill cam. Yeah, this would have been one of those days to have a small camera attached to his head or somewhere on his neck. It could be women, Tebow says. Yeah, that's right. When all you need is woman, not women. And what he did, he brought it in front here just to show me. Yeah. Took him, 10 minutes to come away with the day kill already? 10 minutes. That dude. Telling you, man. If the Broncos had that mentality on Sunday, they would be just fine with Stiddy starting. A true statement, Tebow says, right? Yeah, just one. You don't need to be don't make that plural. It never works. He's bringing me Possum 96er. 95% alcohol related. Definitely a big dog crowd. Yeah, I'm telling you, some of the answers I'm getting. Yeah, for what you would get at the grocery store if you had to have 3 things for this Snowmageddon or snow/ice-mageddon again. If the power goes off, Creed can go hunting for you too. Make you fire outside. Creed will supply the meat. Yeah, he would. Very impressive. Because no sooner as he hit the pavement, it's kind of like getting a guy to pit row. And he gets up there and he starts making hay. You put the right tires on, you got the right adjustments on the car. If it was too tight or too loose. As soon as he hit the pavement, I saw him crouch down. He must have seen it immediately. Guys, thanks for bearing with me today. But we had Andy Bitter. We got Dwight Vick. Nobody wants to miss those two guys. I will probably not be here tomorrow. We have games now tomorrow night, so it's going to be got to get through the game. 4:30 for the women against Asheville and 7 o'clock for the men, and a big one against High Point, although they've lost their best player. I don't know what's happening there. They won't talk about it, but he's no longer on the team. And I think you're going to see more in that in the portal era. Guys who just disappear in no explanation. Those of you asking, the Highlanders lost at the buzzer last night. Kid stepped back, made a terrific three. You give him credit. Cody Cluett is his name. And it was a really, really good basketball game, and they beat us 76-75. Dale Jones was terrific. Nobody can guard him one-on-one. He had 25 points. He was the player of the week. He might be again this week, depending on what he does on Friday. The NBA seems dead. Yeah, I can't. I'm with you. And I hate that. The NBA was one of my favorite things growing up. And it all started for me with Moses Malone. Because I didn't know much about it. My dad was a West Virginia grad, so he followed Jerry West with the Lakers and so forth. But Dad was really kind of a Celtics fan. But anyway, I didn't know much about the NBA, but I knew that Moses Malone was from Virginia, Petersburg, Virginia. And I said, oh, cool. He's from my state. I'm going to pull for whoever he plays with. And that was with the Rockets. And then you went into the 80s and you got into Bird Magic. And then that guy to North Carolina changed everything forever. And the league now is just, it's unwatchable. The things that they stand for politically, they openly tell you they don't care about their game by wanting to be off 20 games a year. Everybody just shoots threes. There's no basketball. There's no half court. There's not much to make you want to watch. Tebow says, hopefully everybody's getting everything they need for this storm. Sounds like losing power is a very real possibility. Yeah, that's the bad part, man. And there's no sugarcoating how bad that is, especially when you can't get out. Yeah. WGN and the Bulls. Yeah, every night. Never missed a game. Thank you, Opal. Don't shovel that driveway. You'll end up in the hospital with double pneumonia. Yeah. I always like to shovel it. I don't like to shovel it, but I always do it because it's like, okay, this is my thing. Yeah, I may have to get a truck guy here. Do I have more pics of Selma from Dusk Till Dawn? I can find them. I'm going to have them in the future, Knicks fan. TLB said he had thought Moses Malone was a Cajun who lived by himself in the swamp. 6'8", 6'9", who was the best rebounder in the league. Now Creed wants back in. Let's see if he's got blood on him. I don't see the critter, which means it's now part of the digestive process. Dwight Vick in about 20 minutes. So hang on, bear with me here. Good you, bud. All right, buddy. It feels great out there. How in the world can we have snow? It feels great out there. It's like it's mild almost. Man. Anyway, I kind of looked around the corner to see if I could find any remnants of the critter. There are none. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he'll be okay. He's usually pretty good about it. If he does, I'll make sure that doesn't make it onto the stream here. But no, the NBA, I'm not saying there aren't good players. I know Steph Curry's a great shooter. I've never bought into the LeBron hype guy who had to go to different teams to win his first title. And I don't think he's a great representation of the league. I know younger generation players will all talk about LeBron. Thanks, Morris. Appreciate you. Thanks for arranging our meetup. Sorry it kind of got spoiled. No, I'll be too worried about the power. I won't be able to sleep. Yeah. But I don't think people, and I give Keon a hard time all the time. He'll never be convinced. He'll say that LeBron is the guy. And for his generation, he has been ever since he was a high schooler coming out of Ohio. But I think the honest question you have to ask yourself, did he advance the league? I'm not talking about the choreographed hype surrounding him, but did he take the league to a better level? And I think the answer is no. Look at the style of play that we have now. Load management. I went to a game last year with Radford. We were on the road. We were traveling. And we played the Utes, played Utah. And we went to go see the Jazz play the Phoenix and Kevin Durant. And so, we're sitting there watching. And when you're at a game, there's so many things going on other than the game. There's always music. Half the time you see players just get off the bench and walk off the floor, something you don't see on TV. Very little of any engagement from the bench with the team on the floor. Yeah, he hasn't. I think that's an accurate statement, TLB. He's not been an ambassador for the game. He's been an ambassador for LeBron. Now, Michael Jordan was an ambassador for Michael Jordan, but he also knew what he represented for the league. Worldwide. No, Neil wasn't there. Neil doesn't travel anymore because he is very soft. Yeah, Shaq is awesome. That was a great era, especially for me as a Rockets fan. Shaq was just starting to come into his own with Orlando. Really did so with the Lakers. Yeah, Shaq's a real one. Shaq's a real one. But I know LeBron's going to have all these numbers and he's playing into his early 40s and all that, but I don't know. I think it's just generational. But if you're going to sit there and try to tell me that LeBron is than Michael Jordan or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Magic Johnson or Larry Bird or Kobe Bryant, I will fight you. Nobody's not saying he's not an all-timer. Nobody's saying he's not a obvious Hall of Famer. You can put him in your top 10, top 15, whatever. But it goes beyond just numbers on the floor. What did you do to impact your sport? Yeah, I know what pick you're talking about, Knicks fan. He said he was going to say something sarcastic from a pic of her in Dusk Till Dawn. Basically, he was going to say, that's a nice looking snake. Yeah, she's in that movie before she turned into a vampire, even after she turned into the vampire. Yeah, she was that launched her in a different stratosphere. What was great about that, Quentin Tarantino, like everyone else, was taken. George Clooney said he was just kind of in awe. He was sitting there watching her dance. But there's the scene where she drips the wine down her leg off her toe, and Tarantino drinks the wine. He goes, you think I was going to give that scene to anybody else? It was my damn movie. That was great. We're going to talk to Dwight about that movie, see what he says. Oh, yes, that will be the first question to Dwight Vick. No, I agree, Morris. No doubt about it. By the way, I got your letter. I got your stuff about Dolphin. We're going to get that going here soon. Got that. It went to somebody else's house, so I got it yesterday. They brought it over. Ooh, sorry. Hang on. Okay. When the Bulls kept losing to the Pistons, Jordan didn't go to the Celtics, the Lakers. He kept working. Yep. It all came together. Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen. Yeah. Defensive player of the year, how many times? I don't know how many times LeBron's been defensive player of the year. Jen, let's see. She was getting closer to getting the mouthpiece. She said she was, remember last week when she was in New York City? She said it was getting closer. So we will find out. We will find out. Well, I may not be here tomorrow, so we'll find out next week. But things are messed up next week with my travel schedule for hoops. I can tell you right now, there won't be a show next Friday, but I might be doing some pop-in things with the phone. Because we play Charleston, South Carolina. That is if we can get out from Snowmageddon here. On Thursday, then we go to Clinton, and I'm staying down there. Jen's going to be out of town, but I'm going to use her pad as kind of my – yeah. Yeah, he played for the Wizards because he just loved the game. He wanted to play a little bit more. Got it out of his system. But Larry Bird and Magic Johnson changed the league. The league was near bankruptcy. The league was really struggling coming out of the 70s. Then you had that 79 title game between Michigan State and the Indiana State Sycamores. And the Cinderella story, who, by the way, beat Virginia Tech along the way. If I'm not mistaken, that was a Dale Solomon-led team, right? Somebody check me on that. Didn't they beat Tech in that tournament? I won't be doing any impersonations or any singing today. But they changed the league. They saved the league. They saved the league. Mike Jones will tell you that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the most important player, the best player of all time. Remember they outlawed dunking when he was in college at UCLA? The sky hook, the most undefensible shot maybe ever created. The goggles. And I'm telling you, I can never enough watch his scene in Airplane where he's the co-pilot and the interaction that he has with the boy in the he's Roger Murdoch, but the kid recognizes him immediately as being Kareem. My dad says you don't play hard enough, except it's the playoffs, and that you don't get back on defense. And when he grabs the kid, look, you tell your old man something like how he'd feel dragging Lanier and Walton up in Florida for 40. Oh, it's just so good. So good. But they changed the game, and Michael Jordan changed it from a worldwide perspective. Michael Jordan even made the horrible IOC, the International Olympic Committee, change its rules about American professionals anyway. Other countries had professionals playing. They were able to sidestep the rules, but we were finally able to send our dream team over there. And it was all because of Michael Jordan, because they were smart enough to realize what they would get out of the marketing of Michael Jordan, who had to play on that team. He changed the game worldwide. And nobody else could have done that. He did that. And he created the most iconic shoe brand in the history of sports. The Air Jordan, nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. Yeah, you're right, Prometheus. It'll never get back to that. And I know they signed TV deals and they have all this money just because of inflation. I know those numbers are bigger, but that doesn't make the league better in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, it's true, Knicks fan. That's true. And look, and this isn't a diss LeBron session. I'm just saying it's two different worlds. You're comparing apples and oranges, in my opinion. Plus, he's been surpassed. I mean, Kobe eventually surpassed Jordan, but Jordan was near retirement. Kobe was better than Wizards Jordan, as Wayne pointed out. I'll tell you one thing. Kobe Bryant is as close as we've seen to Michael Jordan, in my opinion. Kobe Bryant was the absolute truth. He was. I mean, that guy. Woo! I warned you there'd be a loogie. There it was. Dwight Vick here in just a little bit. The black mom, yeah. Tell you one thing, man. Kobe Bryant was must-see TV. What's up, Chip? What's up, Trav? From Professional Dork. So Travis's son, Travis Williams' son, is a really terrific athlete. Played on the Bobcats football team. He's also on the basketball team. Bobcats are 11-2. They're 10th in the state. Awesome. Congratulations. That's a big start, man. Rick Cormody set the standard and it's being continued there. That's great news. It's great news. Congratulations, Trav. That's awesome. And thank you for your support. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Couldn't do it without you. Need to find some more here coming up as we head into the new fiscal. Yeah, for me, Kobe Bryant, couldn't watch him enough. Great player. Jeez. And by the way, one of the most genuine, terrific people that was a megastar. I mean, you hear about folks passing and, we feel bad about it, but that one jolted me. The helicopter crash and him and his daughter, that brought tears, man. That was, he was already not playing. He was such an ambassador for the game. I think he would have been a great NBA head coach too. Robin used to hang out at the Las Olas in Fort Lauderdale. Freak, but nicest guy. Yeah, everybody says Dennis Rodman was really a terrific guy. He had that persona on the floor, but, you talk to Jordan, he talks about Rodman and those Bulls teams. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Larry Bird's still the best passer I've ever seen. But you had great coaches. It was a physical game. Could Professional Door install BDST pet door for the mascot? Probably. Magic. I'm not gonna argue with you about Magic. I think Magic's probably, for me, the third best player ever. The best point guard I've ever seen. Now, he and Bird play different positions, but he's the best point guard. Now, people are going to have different opinions about that. But at 6'9", remember the game he played in the finals when he had to move to center because Kareem was hurt? I think he had like 42 points. No, you're right. People argue with me when I say that about Magic, but no, I think he's probably the third best player. You could put him right there. Our best player of all time is that gentleman, Dwight Vick.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'm a GOAT.
Bear with me, man. I'm dealing with this flu.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that, boss.
All right, so I got to ask you, first thing. You are the movie guy. You're the movie guru. You've seen, I'm sure, Quentin Tarantino's From Dusk Till Dawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. I was at Virginia Tech when that was out.
Selma Hayek dance scene. Your thoughts?
Oh, it's an iconic scene. It's an iconic scene. Yeah, man. That was my introduction to her. I think it was that and Fools Rush In when she was marrying the guy.
Yes.
From Friends.
Yeah.
From Friends. So that was my introduction, those two movies to her. But that scene, I remember because I had it on. I was living in Collegiate Suites, the apartment complex in Blacksburg, and I had it on, cable, whatever. And that's like a vampire movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, man. And she that scene was special. She, thing about Selma Hayek, man, they come up with these lists and rankings, kind of like they do in sports, all-time greats or whatever, sex appeal or sexual. I think, she's just naturally beautiful. She's just naturally gorgeous, man. But yeah, that was a powerful scene.
It was a powerful scene.
Yeah, it was a powerful scene.
All right, so we're kind of off track today, but you have great opinions about all of it. We're talking about the all-time best NBA players. Allen Iverson.
Oh my God, Chuck!
You know all about Allen Iverson. You grew up there. Talk about Allen Iverson. I agree. You could consider him a top 10 player, right?
He's in my top 10 list. I don't, people. I was just talking about this last night in the text. I don't really.
That's cool.
Yeah, not Iverson, but Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew. I don't do those debates. To me, Brady is my GOAT. Peyton Manning is right up there. Joe Montana. I just say, hey, these are my favorites. Of course, Mike Vick is one of my favorites because it's personal. With Iverson, though, we call him Chuck, because, from the Hampton Roads, Tyward area. If he had won an NBA championship, I think his legacy would be even better. Like, he would have been elevated. But when I do criteria, I don't have to have championships. I look at your impact on the game and how, just as far as, like, who do you influence? So when you talk to LeBron, Giannis, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, Ja Morant, and there's millions of others. They all talk about how Iverson influenced them. They wore number 3 because of this. Derrick Rose was a huge Iverson fan. His impact still goes on today, kind of like my cousin Mike. When your impact goes to another generation, Iverson's crossover is always talked about, but to me, it was more so. You look at his 2 years at Georgetown, he took them to 2 Elite Eights, but it was more so like the NBA and college basketball had never seen a guard that small play that big. I mean, his first 5-6 years in the NBA, he was dunking on people. But I saw this in high school. You talk about, we're the same year. We both came out of high school the same year. I played against him 3 years in football and basketball. And he's just as iconic. You talk about a guy that can just take over the game, led the league in steals. 1 year in 2005, I believe, or 2003, either 2003 or 2005. I think it was 03. He averaged 33.7 points a game, 7.5 assists, and led the league in steals. 33 points a game, and he had 7 dimes a game, and led the league in steals. I think you talk about how, for some people it was a turnoff, but a lot of kids and a lot of people loved it. The fact that you had this thing in church where they said, come as you are. Iverson came to the NBA as he was. And, the sleeve, everybody's wearing the sleeve. He wore it because he had tendonitis in his elbow. Well, the sleeve became a thing where if you go to Dick's Sporting Goods or you go on Amazon or you watch games, everybody's wearing the sleeve. You talk about Mount Rushmore influencers. Iverson's got to be on the list or on that Mount Rushmore of influencers because he was just so impactful for the game. He was great to watch. Again, another point I'll make about him is, you don't really see anybody like that right now. Steph Curry and him, I hate when people compare him and Steph Curry. Steph Curry is 6'3", and he's the best shooter of all time. And Iverson played above the rim. I think a fair comparison is Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie Irving, again, and Iverson are not the same player. Now, if you want to debate who's got the better handle and all that, yeah, I don't do those debates. I mean, if someone asked me, I would say Kyrie has probably the better handle, but Kyrie and Iverson play completely different. They just do.
Yeah.
And you know what? To be fair, in an era now where people will miss games because their ear is hurting, or they have a sore throat.
Yeah, I know. Load management. Yeah.
They had to hide his jersey. He played with swollen knees, swollen elbows, ankles swollen. I mean, it's kind of like when you love him or hate him, the Isaiah Thomas game against the Lakers in the final when he scored 25 points on one leg. That's how Iverson played his whole career. Yeah. Injured, banged up, and he would give you 30, 40, 50, 60 points. Yeah, he's to me one of my all-time greats.
And he was one terrific football player. He was one terrific. That's the thing about it. I see his football highlights a lot on the Virginia site, David Mabry's part of it. And I just go, wow. I mean, you think about how good he was in the NBA. Look how good he was in high school as a football player, too.
I played against him in football. I know. He beat, along with his teammates, his junior year, a very, very talented EC Glass team led by all-time great Cornell Brown, who went on to do great things at a university called Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that guy.
Iverson, punt return, kick return, quarterback. It's the golden era, man. It was a great time. And there's been other guys that have played multiple positions. You look at guys like Leroy Keys, who's from the 757, and other people who have, impacted the game. But he was so good on all parts of the field. And then right after he left, you had him in my district. You had him, Iverson, and you had Aaron Brooks, who went on to be an all-pro quarterback, led the Saints to the playoffs, and had a great career at UVA. And right after they graduate, you get two kids named Ronald Curry and Michael Vick. Right after they leave, the district gets those two guys. And Ronald Curry, to me, is the best high school football player in the VHSL history.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
He's the best. I'm not debating. If anybody in the comments, or I don't do those debates. People get on Twitter. I'm not going to argue with you. This is what I'm saying. This is my opinion. Now, I stand on business and credibility. Ronald Curry, once in one season, was responsible for 179 touchdowns. Don't debate me on this. Ronald Curry was the punter. He played quarterback. He was the safety, and he also sometimes kicked field goals. I mean, Mike Smith, the Hall of Fame coach who I played for, who had 2 national championships, all the wins in the VHSL. He's a nationally legendary coach. Let him call plays from scrimmage as a freshman. Ronald Curry called his own plays sometimes in big games against Phoebus. And this is not when the Peninsula District was just basically a couple of teams. This is when 6 or 7 teams were really good, and 9-1 or 8-2, you might have missed the playoffs.
And he was good at UNC. He didn't wash out at UNC, Ronald Curry. He didn't have the same impact that he had in high school, but he was still a really good player.
Well, I laugh when people say, he was a disappointment or a bust, but he went to UNC. He got his degree. He went through a bunch of coaching changes. He played earlier than expected because Oscar Davenport, the veteran quarterback, got hurt, and Ronald was thrust into action where, up in Virginia, Mike Vick was able to redshirt and watch Al Clark and patiently wait his turn. Ronald had great moments. He had a few school records. Then he went to NFL and played a handful of years with the Raiders as a receiver and had some great games. I think when we talk about what is the objective and the goal, when someone says, oh, man, he went to the NFL, but he only played 6 years, 7 years. That's the goal. That's the goal, to get to the league, and he got his degree. That's the goal. Now, if you want to say, oh, he never became this player, that's right. That's fine. But when you're a kid running around Hampton, Virginia, or Dinwiddie or Christiansburg in your backyard, or you at the Boys and Girls Club, and you say, Mom, Dad, Coach Wilkins, I want to go here, and you get here at this school, and you get here, and then you go pro, and then you graduate. Now he's coaching NFL. I would say he exceeded expectations, because those expectations, people said that he was going to be this, that, whatever. Anybody knows the game knows high school is different from college. College is different from pro. So he had a great career because he still talked about now. Victory Life, the whole mantra I have underneath Victory Life is the term, or the phrase, leave a legacy. Ronald Curry's legacy is still talked about now. The same way Percy Harvin's is, Lawrence Taylor, Bruce Smith, Michael Vick, Allen Iverson, Tom Brady. That's when you know you have a legacy, when people still compare and talk about you when you haven't played in forever. That's what it's about. You can debate the measurables or the stats, same thing in baseball. You can debate it. That's what people like to do.
Yeah, right.
I just stand on the fact that when I saw it firsthand or when I look at it, I have not seen something since, or this guy reminds me of him because that's how great that guy was.
Yeah.
So,
right.
It's just, you can do the same thing in women's basketball, Rick, with, I tell people all the time, man, Cheryl Miller, Reggie Miller's older sister, was amazing. She played in the era where you didn't see it, you see it, now a few highlights, but she's to me one of the best women's basketball players of all time,
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you mentioned him, and I mentioned last time I wanted to get into it a little bit, but I want to talk about Mike Smith a little bit. I don't think you'll mind taking the conversation toward him. He created a brand. I'm a kid here in Southwest Virginia, growing up in Pulaski County, right? And even I knew about the Hampton Crabbers. I knew about that color red. I remember that helmet, seeing pictures of that helmet. State title. I remember our coach, Joel Hicks, talking about Mike Smith and the legacy and what he meant. We don't talk about it as much in this part of the state, but is there ever been a greater high school football coach in the Commonwealth than Mike Smith?
There's some really good ones now, and there were some good ones when he was coaching. The guy, I forgot his name. I hate this, at Huguenot. There were a lot of great coaches then coaching. In the district when he was coaching, in the Peninsula District, you had you had Kozlowski that was coaching at Bethel High School, who won a few state championships. He coached Sean Gale and all those guys and some great Bethel teams. He coached Iverson and some really other great players. You had Kurt Newsom, who was at Kickintan, later went to Heritage, who's now coaching collegiately. You had Tommy Reeman, God rest his soul, that coached Aaron Brooks, Marcus Vick, and Mike Vick. Think about 3 quarterbacks that went on to do great things. So it was a stacked time. Bill D, God rest his soul, who was the head coach at Phoebus, who won a lot of championships. So the great thing about Mike Smith is his peers in Southwest Virginia, Richmond, and Tidewater were really good. You had my guy, a coach, I forgot his name, Joe. He was at Norcom. He went on to coach collegiately. He was a great coach. So when Mike was winning, his colleagues and peers and friends were really, really good as well. Yeah. So that means you were winning state championships and regional championships and producing All-Americans and all-state players against really quality to high-level competitors in coaching and teams. I think people always, the knock against us when they couldn't beat us was that we recruited. We didn't really recruit. When a guy moved into the area, or we had kids that would leave every now and then a school in Newport News for a better opportunity and move to Hampton. But most of those guys were from my neighborhood. The majority of us lived on Shell Road. We were zoned to go to Hampton. It was just, sometimes you'll have a community or a neighborhood where you see this in Miami and Dade County, where for decades, this neighborhood just always has great kids because that legacy and people want to be a part of it. So the younger generation sees the older generation. I always tell people, during that time, we outworked you. I learned more about football IQ and preparation under Mike Smith my 4 years on varsity, because we really would prepare. During lunch, when you had lunch, you took your food tray to his office and you watched film on the opponent you were going to play that week, Monday through Friday. Teacher work, this is a different era, so I don't want to scare people, but this is when you went full pads every day. The whole month of August, we were in full pads, except for the day before the game. The two-a-days, this is two-a-days, not a long day like they do now. There was no code red, code orange. There was no heat advisory. This is when the heat was on Django Unchained level, right? And we still had full pads on. And we went two-a-days, 5:30 in the morning to 11:30 in the morning. You rested for a few hours. You came back around 2:30, and then you went till 7 o'clock at night. I'm telling you, this is how two-a-days went. So you were pushed to a limit, kind of like what you saw in Remember the Titans with Coach Boone, who, by the way, Hampton High and T.C. Williams for about 4 years in the 80s had some matchups that were epic. Again, man, Mike Smith produced Eric Hunter, God rest his soul, who was a Parade All-American, MVP of the Senior Bowl in 1990, was the Big Ten Rookie of the Year at Purdue. He also produced Ronald Curry. He also produced Tyrod Taylor. He also produced David Wofford, who went to UVA. Derek Kroon, who went to Hampton University, had a great career, won a state championship. Marcus Higgins, who's a great college coach, had a great career at UVA, won a state championship at Hampton. And I'm forgetting some people.
Dwight Vick, who was an all-conference.
I mean, so, we were the standard for 40 years. And, he coached for 50. You look at what Lauren Johnson's doing at Holland Springs. You look what Maury High School is doing. You look at what Phoebus did with Bill D, Stan Sexton, and even Coach Blunt, who just retired or stepped away from coaching at Phoebus. That's all based on trying to become or better than what Hampton did. That's why you see they broke this winning streak that Hampton once held or this. But I will say, I give the edge slightly, not because I'm a crabber, but I give the edge to Mike Smith only because it was in an era where, these kids move around a lot more now. And, you have specialty programs and academies, so you can go to a school but live in the other side of the town. He did it in an era where 3-7 and 4-6 teams weren't making the playoffs like they do now. You're talking about, when I look back in my career, I was going against future NFL players. I'm not saying the kids there now aren't that way, but you do have talent. The talent is still talent. There's still a lot of great kids playing high school football, but it was just a different time, man. You talk to people across the country, and he also ran the VHSL, which you had the VHSL All-Star Week. So people our age or older remember that after the season in high school, you had what I thought should come back, but it probably will never come back, was the All-Star Week. You had the All-Star Game, the VHSL All-Star Game.
Yep.
That's how I was able to play against Anthony Poindexter and a lot of guys I played against in college. You also had, during that week, you had the All-Star Basketball Game, where you had guys from all over the state playing. You had volleyball, baseball. That whole week, you had all-star games in Hampton, Virginia. And they stayed on college campuses, Hampton University and other places. And they competed, and they got gear and they hung out with, you made friends for life. He ran that. You had all-star games. You had a committee that understood to help the game evolve. He led that way. I think the only thing I hate when I hear people that did not beat us or were mad that we dominated was that we cheated or we recruited I think when you don't understand something or when you don't realize you don't understand the definition of hard work and you don't understand IQ, you have to find a reason to hate or assume that something negative or illegal is going on. We were great kids. We were hard workers. Yes, we were talented. But ultimately, I've seen a lot of teams, in my life that were really talented on the high school and collegiate level and even pro level that underachieve every year. So don't give us the fact that we had this guy. We had talent, but we were very physical. We were very good, and we were well coached and prepared. And that it will always put you in a position to win, no matter what level you're at. And he's the GOAT, man. I mean, he coached 50 years. 50 years. He coached like right when schools were being integrated.
No, you're right.
He was coaching that long.
1971. Yeah.
He was. It was. I thank God. I played for Coach Brower in basketball for 3 years, and he's a Hall of Fame coach and a state champion multiple times. I played for Coach Smith and his staff. That's the other thing. His staff was elite. Coach Mann, Coach Mitchell. A lot of times the head guy gets all the credit, but his staff was elite. And I played for Coach Beamer that featured Coach Foster, Stein Spring, and other legendary coaches. So I thank God that I was around the time I was because I was able to play for men that taught me to be a leader. That's why I
Right.
feel like I'm successful now, is because I understand discipline. That's why I told you one time during all this stuff with Franklin coming in, and I said, I feel bad for these kids at Tech and other schools because they don't get to really be appreciated because they're losing all the time and there's all this movement. You know, it's okay to move around, but you want to be remembered. You want to win. You want to have an impact on your game, the school. You look at the last 4 or 5 years at Tech, they've been trash. Like, we're not going to talk about the 2021 team, the 2024 team, the 2023. That's not going to come up at a dinner party. There's not going to be any highlights. There's no memories. There's no like, oh, man, that was it. Nobody cares. Drones and the guys had a really good year in their mind, and they went 7-6. That's the best they went.
Right.
7-5 is my worst season, my redshirt junior. Other than that, we won 11 and 10 games. And the 7-5 team, we started off 5-1, and then we got hit with a bunch of injuries. We still finished second in the conference, and we got blown out in the Gator Bowl against Carolina. So I'm hearing Franklin is really making these guys earn stuff, and I think going back to Mike Smith, I think no matter what in the NIL era and the portal, if you have a coach that still really pushes values as far as hard work, going to class, treating people with respect. Beamer and Mike Smith, two guys I played for, were big on treating the janitorial staff, the cleaning crew, the trainers, the professors, the teachers, the same way you treat your parents. If you didn't, they're going to bust you up. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing when I look at like his legacy is that I talked to him recently. I interviewed him, and he was going to be on the Vicktory Life Legacy podcast, and my laptop during November crashed, and I couldn't get it fixed. So it's like I can't recover that interview. I have to do it again, but it almost brought tears to my eyes when he told me I was one of the best players he coached. When a guy like that says you were a really good one, oh man, it's like if you have a dad and he says, I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it hits you real different. And that's what you do it for. And that's why I'm hoping with my Hokies, they can have a great season where they can be remembered. Like, we remember Fuente's first year because that team won the Coastal and they almost upset Clemson. And they beat Arkansas and they won 10 games. And that was the Edmonds brothers, Ricky Walker, Tim Settle, Greg Stroman, Josh, the quarterback, the receivers. They were really good. Like, that was a really good team that won 10 games and they won the Coastal. That's what you play for, to win and to be remembered, and most importantly, respected. And I wonder sometimes when I watch college football and basketball, do some of these kids respect the process? Yeah. I'm all for them getting paid. I'm saying, but like, there's something about patience. I celebrated a birthday in September of last year, and I wrote on my Facebook post, I said, what I learned last year was the importance of patience and forgiveness. So if you're not learning anything along this journey of life, you're wasting your time. And two of the worst things I hate in life, minus loss of life, is wasted time and wasted talent. Those two things disturb me. When you waste time or you waste talent, you're not getting the most out of your own life, and that's embarrassing and more so tragic.
No, it is. It is. Well, just to put a bow on Coach Smith, 506 wins, 12 state titles, 46 playoff appearances, and 2 national championships in 96 and 97. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And guys drafted, like I said, Tyrod Taylor and all those guys.
Jeez.
Marshawn Williams, all these, man, that's legacy. And he loved what he did. He loved coaching.
Oh, that's it. That's it right there. And it showed. Coach Elmation just texted in. He said you could hear a Hampton practice. You could hear it. You'd have to see it. You would hear it, and you would know exactly what it meant. That's pretty cool.
Coach Elmation, shout out he's one of the GOATs. Coach Elmation, I was a youngin', but when I got to Tech, when I got to Hampton, and then when I got to Tech, Coach Elmation, who was there, I was there 1 year when he was a defensive coordinator. Coach Almation brought linebackers from college to a Hampton High practice. I believe that was what I was told by Mike Smith, to watch, or he at least was there to watch us hit and practice. He always wanted to make Almation recruited Hampton High guys because of our level of intensity and how we carried ourselves. And, again, he's another one. I mean, when I say you won't see guys like that again, like Coach Almation and other coaches, it's not to say the coaches coaching now aren't great. I think the guy in Indiana is on that trajectory, Signetti. I think he's on that trajectory. But what I'm talking about is really loving the art of coaching and really teaching and making sure guys understand the importance of legacy and to be prepared for life after football, or basketball or track and field. That's why they're leaders. They love what they do. They wake up and they want to change the world. And man, Mike Smith, I'm just glad he's still here to see how the game is changing. He's a funny guy. The older people get, man, the more straightforward they were. When I talked to him, he was just talking about different things, and he doesn't hold back, man. I love my guy, Coach Smith, man. I love Beamer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you should try to get him on here sometime with you. That'd be great. Just to have you two just go at it. That'd be fun.
Yeah, man. He's a Virgo like me. We're both September babies. So we both have, we love to storytell. We got great memories. It's crazy about him, man. Like, you can talk to him about a game in 1986, and he will remember. He'll be like, hey, we were in the goal line, and I should have ran this. And, again, your viewers know this, your listeners know this. You remember more games you lost than all the great games you won.
100%.
Like, I can tell you about the tragic games Virginia Tech lost. More so I can talk about, I remember the victories, but I remember the games we lost. Even after I left, I remember the BC game at home. Matt Ryan, number 2 in the country, Boston College. We win that game. This is during the BCS era. We go to the national championship. At least we put ourselves in position to, despite that blowout loss against LSU, because LSU was the first ever at the time 3-loss national champion. We played them early in the year and got boat raced 44-7. Only touchdown was scored by Tyrod Taylor. But after that, we just got hot and we just started killing people. And we won the ACC that year. And we were really good. But if we won that Boston College game on a national televised game, I interviewed Frank Beamer and Shane Beamer about 4 years ago. And Frank, another one, Coach Beamer talked about the national championship game or games like that. He wished he would have done this differently. And that's the challenge you have, is in that moment, imagine if Indiana on that third down call or whatever it was when Mendoza scored. Imagine if he doesn't score. Miami probably wins that game, right? So it's a fine line between calling the right play and that player making that play, between becoming legendary,
right,
or a humbled loser.
A legacy. he created a legacy forever that day, that run.
Yeah. In respect to Miami, even though that's my rival when I was at Tech, I'm not going to wait. I didn't wake up sad that they lost. I told you last time before we wrap up, I told you if Miami had won, man, we would have been seeing commercials and Kirk Herbstreit would have talked about. I mean, even Kirk Herbstreit would have never stopped talking about how the U is back. Even when they presented the trophy, I forgot his name. He said, "Oh, the U is back." I'm like, stop, man. Y'all want them to be back so bad.
I know.
Golly, y'all don't even hide the narrative anymore, man.
No, we don't.
But guess what? The Big Ten has won 3 straight national championships. This is the 3rd year in a row that no SEC team has played for the national championship. So hate it or love it, NIL has created more parity and more opportunity. That's why if my Hokies can get their together, we can kind of knock on the door. First things first, we got to win more than 5 or 6 games.
Like the way you supplied your own beep there. That's good.
Anyway, man, thank you again for letting me share my insights, man.
No, it was great, man. Thank you so much for all that. And I appreciate you, and enjoy your weekend, brother. Enjoy your weekend.
Man, feel better, man.
Getting there. Well, I hope I'm getting there.
Yeah, man. Take care of yourself, man. It's that's why when I see people during the winter, I give a fist bump or a head nod. I don't do all the.
I know you don't do all that.
Yeah, I normally do that, but when it's like this, I don't want. When I get sick, I feel like I'm like, oh my God.
The air high five, right?
Yeah,
hey,
man. Hey,
stay
I don't
back
want
there.
none of that. I was in the grocery store the other day and I heard somebody. I was like, hey, I went that away. All right.
I'm out of here.
All right, man. But
all right, brother.
You,
I appreciate you, Dave. Have a good weekend, man.
You
Great
too.
stuff. Great stuff. There you go. The great Dwight Vick talking about the great Mike Smith. We made it through. This just came out from National Weather Service in Blacksburg, just to give everybody an update. Everybody's been asking. So the timing of all this tomorrow is around noon tomorrow on Saturday. It's going to go throughout. The peak of it is Saturday night into Sunday early evening. It says it's not supposed to end until daybreak on Monday. Snow 2 to 4 inches along south of North Carolina, Virginia border. Where we are, the North Carolina, Virginia border to US 460, 5 to 8. If you're north toward, Lynchburg, Lexington area, you could get anywhere from 8 to 14 inches. Sleet in our area could be 2 to 3 inches. So in totality here, this is why Myatt is the best. He was saying we look at 6 to 10 inches of snow and sleet. That's what this adds up to. The area in the red circle of their map is the battleground between snow, sleet, and freezing rain. And of course, we are into that. If y'all can see that right there. Can y'all see that? And all those question marks mean is how much of the ice stuff is going to get. So it looks like the ice is going to cut down on our totals for snow, but that will rise the impact of potential power outages. So none of the news is good. None of the news is good. But listen, thanks, everybody. Thanks for putting up with me. Thanks to Andy Bitter and Dwight Vick. See, that's why I wanted to come on. Andy was great, and Dwight is just, it's always worth it. I will say now that there's a strong likelihood I will punt the show tomorrow. I have to get ready as best I can to get ready for basketball tomorrow night, now that everything's been moved to Friday. If you're in the neighborhood, come see us at the Dedman Center. We got a women's, men's doubleheader. It's a great atmosphere down there. Come by and say hi on press row. 4:30 for the women, and then the men will play High Point, and that will be at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So we won't do the meetup this week like we expected. We hoped to do the meetup yesterday. Thanks to Morris for everything. We'll reschedule that. We'll get Morris back up here. I mean, he's got nothing but time to drive around. Thanks to everybody who sent me text messages, as always, on our professional text line. Thanks to everybody in chat. You're great. And I hope it wasn't too hard to hear me trying to fight through this today. Thanks to everybody again in chat. You're great. Thanks for all the well wishes. And I would say I'll probably be talking to you again on Monday. But everybody stay safe. Godspeed. Let's just pray the power stays on. And just make smart decisions, right? And hopefully this won't be as impactful negatively as we are being led to believe, but feels like we're due one. So let's all just try to get through it together. Thanks, everybody. Please spread the word about the channel. Like, subscribe, share everything we do, and we will talk to you soon. Be good.